Hello, Danielle. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Where are you?
I live in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Ooh, Las Vegas. Not everything's
Yeah.
as crazy as what they say, right?
No. And it's funny because even my own mom, she thinks I live on the strip. She's always like worried about me. And, we live in a normal suburb, neighborhood. So we rarely go to the
That would be
strip.
my mom.
Yeah. She's
My
always
mom
so
would be
worried.
like, "You're in the scary area." And I'd be like, "No, mom, I'm in like a neighborhood. Like I have friends, we have barbecues."
Yep, exactly. Yep. And I hear people
So
say all the
great.
time, I didn't realize people actually lived in Vegas. Like, yes, we do.
Awesome. So I'm so happy that Facebook was able to connect us. Like,
Yes.
we all have a love-hate thing with social media, but when things like this happen, then I really love it. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
really happy we were able to connect. And I haven't had anyone on the show yet talk about pets and cannabis. So I'm really
Hmm.
excited that you reached out because I
Yeah.
do know a lot of people that are wanting to use CBD with their animals. And
Yeah.
I give them, as a coach, my personal perspective, but I'm not a veterinarian and I actually don't even have my own pets like my parents do. And I grew up
Right.
with animals, but I don't have any that I would be medicating or supplying myself. So if
Right.
you could share with us your background, how you got to be a veterinarian, just who you are, and also how you started implementing cannabis into what you offer.
Yeah. So I'm actually not a veterinarian. I'm a veterinary
Okay.
technician. So it's kind of like a nurse for animals, like a registered nurse for
Awesome.
animals. So I've been a registered tech for about 22 years. And last March, I started taking CBD myself for some autoimmune issues that I had had. And I had some pretty extraordinary results pretty
Mm-hmm.
quickly. And I started to realize like there's a big market for this, and this would be something perfect for the veterinary world, because we don't have that many natural supplements, and certainly nothing that can help with pain and autoimmune issues and other diseases. And so I saw this really big gap between an owner's desire to try something more natural and the veterinarian's lack of knowledge and education. So
Yes.
um, excuse me, I came across this course Dr. Casara Andre does through veterinarykannabis.org, and it certifies veterinary technicians like me to talk about cannabis and to help owners that don't really know where to go and the questions to ask. So I took the course, and I was actually the first in the US to get the certification. Um, and as a result of that, I was asked to be a contributing author in the first textbook on veterinary cannabis therapy.
Oh my gosh,
So
congratulations.
thanks. So we're working on that. Hopefully by the end of this year, beginning of next year, it'll be released, and it'll be the first book really that exists in the veterinary community about cannabis. So with my certification, I started my own consulting business called Turning Leaf Consultations. And what I do is work with pet parents to review their goals. What are they trying to achieve? Review medical records, review blood work, medications, and then kind of help educate and guide them to what type of product would be the best for their pet. And because so there, there's so many companies out there, and nobody really knows what to look for or the
Yes.
questions to ask. And so what I do is something called harm reduction, and that is reducing the amount of harm that a pet parrot could do by just Googling CBD and ordering whatever they find, which may not be the best product for their pet. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I do.
Amazing. And when did you start implementing or educating about cannabis with people's pets and pet owners? When did you start doing that?
So I officially got my PIN, so my counselor, certified veterinary cannabis counselor PIN in October at the Veterinary Cannabis Symposium that's held in Colorado. So that was when I was official. And
Awesome.
I launched my consulting business this year, just for pet parents, just to have a resource and somebody trusted, that's going to advise them, on the proper way to take it, the type of product, because sometimes marketing of these products is not always the most, I don't know what the word is, compliant or,
Mm-hmm.
the best thing that could be said. So I just want people to, we don't want to harm our pets, obviously. So, and the reason why this certification is so geared towards veterinary technicians is less than 10% of all veterinary and human medical schools teach about the endocannabinoid system. And so most veterinarians aren't familiar with it. And here in the US, they're licensed. They're licensed by the DEA. And so they can't really talk about it to the pet owner. But as technicians, we're not bound by a DEA license, so we have a little bit more freedom to talk about it.
That's great. What are the most common things that you're finding pet owners are asking or looking for?
Probably the number 1 and 2 is anxiety in their pets, separation anxiety or social anxiety, and pain, something like arthritis or some kind of an injury. Those tend to be the top 2 that we get the most questions about. But things like diabetes and other autoimmune type issues also come up quite a bit. Like I said, there's not a lot of really great pain management medications in the veterinary space, and so and if there's a lot of side effects, just like there are in humans. And so it's just, owners are just and it's funny because I find that pet owners are far more willing to try CBD for their pets than they are for themselves.
Yeah,
Like,
I totally agree.
yeah, they don't want their babies, to be hurt, and they can't tell us when they're not feeling well. And so
Yeah. I
so
almost think it's like they're like, oh, I'll give it to my pet and I'll be fine because my dog doesn't talk, so then no one can judge me about giving the
right.
CBD to them. But if I talk
Exactly.
about the fact that I use it, I might get judged because of the stigma,
Exactly.
which
Yep.
is just all like an illusion and a mess. But I
Yes.
think it is like that's probably part of the reason why it's like, well, I really want to save my animals, and then they try it and think that they don't have to talk about it.
Right. Yep. And it's just funny because animals have an endocannabinoid system just like we
Mhm.
do. In fact, virtually almost every living thing on the planet has an endocannabinoid system or a rudimentary endocannabinoid system. And there's been some studies that are showing that dogs actually have up to 10 times more receptors than even humans do. And so they
Wow.
respond really, really well. And they respond really, really well because they don't know anything different, right? So
Yeah.
as humans, we can be like, that didn't do anything for me. But
Yeah.
animals don't have that stigma to worry about. It either works or it doesn't. So
Mhm.
yeah, there's lots of great benefits for them. And I've seen some pretty amazing results come from it.
Amazing. What are some of the most significant results that you've seen?
So I have a friend who has a 14-year-old lab who had some big time arthritis in her hips and lower back. And the dog was in physical therapy and was on several NSAIDs or non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, and the dog's liver and kidney values were starting to creep up, and the owner was getting really nervous about that. And so she started the dog on CBD, and within a month, that dog was running around her house, was running up and down the stairs where previously they literally had to carry her.
Wow.
And then within 3 months, the dog was completely able to be weaned off all other medications. So pretty amazing. And you know, there's tons of stories like that. You know, dogs that are barely walking or, you know, just have no energy are suddenly running around like puppies. And
It makes me want to cry because it's just
I know.
like, oh, they get to just be themselves. And it's also
Yep.
similar to like the human stories. Like I couldn't
Yeah.
get out of bed, I couldn't walk, I couldn't live, I couldn't do anything. And then I started using
Yeah.
cannabis, and it's like, whoa, I'm actually
Yep.
like living a quality of life finally.
Yep.
Well, other than
Yep.
that, who knows what you would do without it?
Yeah. Yeah. For me, you know, I had some pretty significant results literally within a day and a half. And one of the biggest things for me was like mental health, my anxiety. And I would never be on a on a show like this ever. I literally felt like somebody kind of lifted a veil from me. And I remembered very distinctly like saying, wow, this is what normal people feel like. And so for me, it was pretty instant. This makes a difference. And I just wish somebody would have told me about it 20 years ago.
Exactly. What
Yeah.
is the way that you recommend most frequently for pet owners to do? Is it like taking CBD oil in a drop, putting it in their waters, and making dog bones? What are some options?
Well, we know, especially from the human side, that the sublingual tends to be the easiest and most effective route. Unfortunately, not many dogs are going to let you put a dropper near their mouth. So what I recommend to people is either, you know, putting some drops in their hand, let the dog lick that off, put it on something that they know the pet's going to eat. So, you know, a little dog treat, or, you know, taking a few kernels of the food, putting the drops on the food, and then feeding that first prior to the rest of the bowl. My dog is a grazer, and so if I put it on the food, I wouldn't necessarily know if he got his dose for the day. So we always recommend, you know, on something you know they're going to eat. And so I don't really recommend the water method, because who knows if they're actually going to drink it when they need to. So, you know, a treat, their food, as long as you know they're going to eat it, is probably the best. Some people, especially with cats, you can just put it on the finger and rub it on their gums. Cats tend to be a little more finicky about everything, but particularly with food, sometimes they won't eat it, but you can just sort of rub it on their gums.
Mm-hmm. Where can people start finding more of this education for their animals, or people they can ask? Is this something that vets and vet technicians are doing like in the States and in Canada, or just in certain spaces in the world? What does that look like?
So there are a few VCCs in Canada right
Mm-hmm.
now. So we're, you know, we're branching out. But specific to veterinary education, I don't know that there is a site. You know, I love Project CBD, their website.
I've heard of those.
Yeah, they tend to have really accurate and good information on that site, and there is some veterinary stuff. For veterinary technicians, there's a Facebook group called Veterinary Cannabis Academy, which is run by two of my colleagues. But there's not really a central place at this point for owners to go look. So that's kind of why this whole program really got started, because there really isn't a place for them to go. But the good news is that the human endocannabinoid system and the animal one is virtually the same. And
Mm-hmm.
so if they're reaching out and looking, at Project CBD or, one of those Leafly, any of those kind of websites, pretty much anything they read in terms of studies and papers and that kind of thing is going to be relevant to the animal patient as well.
Mm-hmm.
Dosing might be a little bit different, but the general information should be, pretty much the same. Diabetes in a dog isn't different than diabetes in a human. It's the same disease.
Mm-hmm. Are other people bringing in different animals, like a ferret or a bird?
Oh
Because
yeah.
that's so cute.
Yeah.
Aw.
Birds do pretty well. I will caution though that that definitely needs to be monitored by somebody like me or a veterinarian familiar with it, because birds are pretty delicate.
Yes.
But reptiles have a rudimentary endocannabinoid system, works great in horses, virtually any mammal. Well, I won't even say just mammal, but just about any animal is going to benefit from it.
That's great. Where can people find your website or any education or information that you share and that you provide?
So my website is called www.turningleafconsultations with an s.com. That's where people can go read my bio and make an appointment if they'd like to do a consult with me. I'm in the process of uploading education materials, but I do a lot from my Facebook page, which is under Loughton Danielle. My name's flipped, but I share a lot of information, articles, and different things like that on my Facebook page as well. And that's a public page.
That's perfect. So where do you see the future going for pets and dogs with CBD? Like, do you think it's going to be starting, you can just buy it at the store with the dog food section eventually? Because like that's what's happening with humans. So
Yep, it is. And unfortunately, there's some unscrupulous companies out there, and we don't have any regulations either in the veterinary or human side yet. But with the passing of the 2018 Farm Bill, the U.S. Hemp Authority is an organization that is working to create standards for hemp companies to follow. So I see that there will be a national sort of certification guideline program, so that people know that if they have that type of certification, that they've been through some serious auditing. But
yes.
We don't have a lot of regulation on the human side, period. It's not like on the veterinary side. On the human side, they've got the FDA and the DEA really kind of down their backs, but we don't have a lot of that in the veterinary world. So unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of products out there that are not great, or really that, and I won't say great, but maybe they just didn't do their research on how.
I see products like that now with humans. I'm like, what? I'm like, I don't even think there's CBD in that, and they're trying to say stuff with the endocannabinoid system, it's calming, and I'm like, they're just basically selling you an idea. It's not an actual treatment.
Yep. And I'm always weary of any company that makes medical claims that says if you take CBD, you're no longer going to have diabetes or anything like that. So I have sort of a set of guidelines that I go through when I'm vetting a product. I want to see a COA, a certificate of analysis. I want to see gas chromatography. I want to see microbial testing. I want to see residual solvents. I want to see the method of extraction. I want to know where it was sourced from. Is there a terpene analysis? An ingredients list. So many don't even say what's in the product. So there's some guidelines that I look for. And if a company can't provide that information, then not a company I'm going to endorse or talk about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any final tips or information or anything that you'd like to share?
Yeah, feel free to reach out to me. I'm very responsive and happy to answer questions for people. Like I said, you can visit my site and schedule a consult, and I'd be happy. One of the services I offer is to vet, a person's product of choice, and we'll give a unbiased opinion of that product, and where I see some red flags, or if it's a great product, I have no problem saying that as well. But yeah, reaching out to me through my website or through Facebook at Loughton Danielle is a great way to reach me.
Great. Thank you so much, Danielle, for taking the
Thank you.
time to come on and share all your wisdom. This was so fun.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. I'm so glad we got to do this.
Thank you.